FY 2024 results of Presco PLC and Okomu Oil highlight the resilience of Nigeria's palm oil sector amid economic challenges. Presco had performed expectations, posting a 93.5% revenue growth and a 217% profit surge, driven by higher local demand, strong CPO prices, and improved cost efficiency. Okomu Oil also delivered solid results, but cost pressures and forex volatility slightly impacted its bottom line. Both forex stability and moderating global CPO prices slow momentum, which stock actually presents the better investment case. Well, we will be looking at that today, and joining me for that is Dr. Patrick Ejumedia, Head Research, Sterling Asset Management and Trustees Limited. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, good to see you after a while.
You can say that again. So beginning with Presco's result, if you can have the Presco result up there, I'd like you to talk to us about your key highlights from that result.
Oh, so straight away, Nigerian economy, we've had a lot of issues from many of these subsectors based on the exchange rate and inflation. I think those issues are issues that we feel that we shouldn't be talking about again.
Well, we should.
Exchange rate depreciation.
We still get pressured from that.
But fortunately for them, this sector is able to benefit from it because of the commodity that they are exporting and the exchange rate depreciation that is in their favor. And local demand too that also went up. So these factors push up their prices up, and that's why you saw both companies making that high revenue that translated into high profit after tax for both organizations.
That's interesting. Talking about local demand, what boosted that?
Yeah, basically, normally the commodity, they do a lot of, apart from the usual consumption, they do a lot of value-added production process that they use their product for. So even despite the fact that inflation is high, this value-added production process would make their demand go up, and people would buy to use for further production of whatever they're producing.
Interesting.
So that drives up.
And of course, because of the price of importing some of those things and all of those, maybe the imported products are more expensive, and then Nigerians would rather just go for the local products, which are not as expensive as those ones. Now, I want to, let's speak a bit to numbers, so I'm just going to be careful here. Presco's revenue grew by 93.5% year on year. We saw strong earnings and cash flow generation. Talk to us about, the primary demand drivers and how sustainable this will be going forward. I know you've talked about some of them, but how sustainable do you think this will be? When things improve, are we going to see changes in some areas?
So first is to say that, yes, we've mentioned that one of the things that drove the price is because of the price of the commodity and international market. Now,
that's crude palm oil.
Yes, crude palm oil prices, yes. But is the price going to remain in 2025? When these issues, if this the issue that made the price to go up, the supply chain disruption, if that issue is no more there, then we might not see the price going up as it was or as it were in 2024. Then the exchange rate issue too, we've heard a lot of things coming from what the government has said, that they want to make exchange rates to appreciate around 1.5, and if the exchange rate appreciates, this profit might not be there, except they are able to diversify their products and again improve on their cost efficiency. So that link can keep them in that level of profit that they've maintained in 2024.
I hope they'll be able to maintain it because we also hear that, crude palm oil prices, the projection is that the price will probably moderate this year because there is that expectation that maybe there'll be more supply and all of that. Let's hope that works. So either way, I hope they'll be able to, they'll be creative enough to make money from other areas. Now, we see the completion of Ghana Oil Palm Development acquisition. How much did this contribute to, revenue growth, and what are your expectations moving forward as a result of this acquisition?
So basically, when a company acquires a new company, it shows that somehow there's a market in that region where they've acquired a plant. So basically, what that does is that it will bring about increased market expansion, and it will increase the demand for the product in those countries where they've put up their plant. So basically, what we should see is some level of increased level of profit, and I'm sure that would have also played a role in the 2024 profit that they've declared. So.
All right, I'm looking at the earnings per share. It's on the screen right now, 104 naira, against what it was before. Is that, how much of that will be paid out as dividend? I'm just wondering what percentage of that are they going to pay? Because, as shareholders, you're looking at the earnings per share, yes. But beyond earnings per share, which one are you giving?
Which I give exactly as shareholders, as people who have put our money there in the but it's a management issue. So they'll have their meetings, and at that meetings, I think that's when those kind of decisions will be taken.
But how impressed are you by that number, 104 naira earnings per share?
It's interesting. If you look at the growth, like we are saying, about 48% growth, even though it's not to 50, because 50 will be your benchmark to say something like that. But 48% is, with the investment environment, 48% is not bad. So I think it's good.
All right, let's look at the equity performance, or let's say the stock performance. Number one, I mean, the price was around maybe 485 naira thereabout when on the day the result was released.
Yeah.
Yes, and now we are seeing it's trading about 700. What we see is a 28% increase since the result has been announced. What does this say? I think that sort of shows that investors are rewarding the stock. Is that what it means?
Yeah, so where's one, then secondly, it also depends on what investors are saying, how they're able to read not just the result, but what they will see in future. So if they perceive that some of these issues that we've mentioned, the issue of the exchange rates, the issue of the commodity price is going to remain, or they see the companies are able to diversify their revenue or diversify their income sources, then that will also be pushing investors towards that aspect. But overall, I think it's a matter of perception. What investors feel or what they see is what will drive them towards buying those shares.
All right, so what key risks do you think investors should watch out for in 2025 as we move on?
We've mentioned them. One is the issue of the moderation in the commodity price. So if it moderates, it's a concern. Then I wouldn't want to
what
say...
What did you say? If it moderates, it's a concern.
It's a concern because it was high. Yeah. That's the issue of the commodity price. Now, we saw it went up last year.
When we look at these things, some things, there are winners and losers of every game, really.
Yeah, so we are looking at it from the aspect of this organization. Theirs is to see those things happen to make profit. So if it goes up, they make more profit as they've declared now.
But should commodity prices be going up? Do we want that?
It depends on, some issues are just meant to happen. Nobody thought that the supply chain disruption is going to stay long or to this time.
So what do you see? Do you see, I mean, looking at the geopolitical space, I mean, what are you seeing? What do you think would happen and how would that impact
a lot of things are happening there now with Trump, and it's likely going to boomerang among countries of the world. And it will have various impacts on, the commodity, because once companies are not producing, demand will drop. And once demand drops, prices will come down. And that's some of the reasons why the analysts have been saying that the price of the commodity is going to moderate in 2025. Except otherwise, if the price comes down and exchange rates appreciate, then what is now left for those companies is now be able to diversify their income revenue sources and then be able to cut costs as much as possible so that they can remain at that level that they've displayed themselves in 2023.
Interesting. So finally, what's your rating for Presco? Buy, hold?
Well, basically, because of what they've come out with now, on the surface, you just want to say go and buy. Because again, you are looking at the future, and you're not looking at now, because whatever has happened. So you are looking at, can this company are they going to do likewise Q1 or Q2 or Q3 2025? So it depends on what you see as an investor before you can then say, someone should go and buy.
But what do you see as an analyst?
Well, for a company to have declared this kind of profit, on the surface, I would just say, okay, I think it's something one should look out for.
But we need to look at some
do your due diligence first.
Do your due diligence.
Yes, then you can then begin to say, okay.
Right. Let's look at Okomu Oil now, if we can also get that. And I'd like you to give us your overall perception, and not perception anyway, but your overview of Okomu's result.
Yeah, so both of them, fortunately, they're in the same space.
Yeah, sure. That's why we're having that.
And also, they have both benefited from the issues that we spoke earlier, the issue of exchange rates, the issue of local demand, and the issue of high prices of the crude palm oil prices. Yeah. Exactly. So they've all benefited from it, and that's why their result appears to be very fantastic. Even though inflation has affected them, raw material costs, probably would have gone up. Basically, the operating expenses would have gone up for both organizations in terms of raw material, in terms of labor, then maybe in terms of energy prices too would have gone up.
All right, talking about that, I mean, Okomu Oil sort of gives us that picture clearer. We see strong earnings, earnings growth and profitability. However, we're also seeing operating expenses rise by nearly 78% year on year. That's for Okomu. I mean, does this bother you? Are you looking at the impact this could have, or this is already having on profit margin, and then looking forward, what do you see?
Yes, as much as they benefited from the high prices, the high local prices, exchange rate issues, and inflation currently at 34.8 at the moment. So, last year, I think we ended around 33.6 for December inflation. So this would have played a lot of factor in pushing up those items that you mentioned in terms of their operating expenses generally. Like I said, if you break it down, you'll be seeing the raw material, the cost of labor, and logistic costs, basically. So if inflation continues, then again, it will close down the profit margin because high operating expenses will reduce profit, and that will affect whatever income that they're going to be putting up.
So what measures do you suggest they probably put in place? Are there any you can think of?
Basically, straight up. Now is to first think of how you can manage your costs. Then you can then be thinking of how you can reduce importation of foreign inputs that you are using. Then government at this moment is giving a lot of incentive to attract people into those sectors, so they can begin to key into some of those incentives as a way of increasing their, reducing cost and then increasing their profit at the end of the day.
All right, I want us to run along now. Now, Okomu trades at an EV EBITDA of 5.7x, while Presco trades at 7.1 times. Does this sort of suggest, or does this discount suggest Okomu is undervalued, or are there maybe some fundamental risks investors should pay attention to?
Yeah, on the surface, that's what it will tell you.
So beyond the surface?
Beyond the surface, you do your due diligence.
No, we can't keep doing our due diligence when we have it here.
No, it's important. No, this is on air. So when we get to the research, we can then do the due diligence, check the book, check the details, check the story behind this result that has come out.
Okay, so for someone who wants to do due diligence and doesn't know how to do due diligence, how should we do the due diligence?
First,
at least you can talk now.
So you can then reach us at Sterling Asset Management and Trustees Limited. Then we can then begin to.
I think we're done with this conversation. No, you can't tell me that. No, I think we're done.
No, we can't be done.
You know what? The next time you mention that, I'll probably give you an invoice. I will settle the conversation. All right, so talk to us about key risks and opportunities for Okomu moving forward. I know you might just say they're almost the same and all of that, because they operate in the same terrain, the same sector, and all of that. But let's also look at the fact. You want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to say what is central is about how both organizations, since they're in the same space, are able to manage their costs. I think that's very key.
And do you think Okomu is doing that very well?
Now, because the result has not shown that, so it might appear as if, because Presco, based on what we saw from that analysis, that Presco is managing their costs more than them. So what they then need to do is to find out how they can manage costs more effectively, so that they can come up as Presco.
After the release of that result, Okomu's result was released on the 30th of January, and the impact was sort of muted. It was later, maybe after a week, we saw 9% increase in the share price. What's happening? Why aren't investors, reacting the way they reacted to Presco's result?
Yeah, so a lot of things. Some of them we've mentioned. Some of them has to do with what investors are seeing. Like we have actually said, the cost management, whatever in both organizations will determine investors have before now foresaw which one is going to likely to do well based on their Q3 result that you have seen. So that might also make people slow down to say, okay, we are waiting for Presco or waiting for whatever. But it depends on what investors are seeing overall. So if they are seeing that, these companies, they are likely to be having this kind of issue, they are likely to wait for Presco to come out. And that's
so you're not seeing anything you want to share?
In terms of? In
terms of everything we've talked about. Because I see you just don't want to say anything.
No, we've been saying a lot.
But not what I want to hear.
So, what do you want to hear?
For investors, basically, some thoughts for investors, people who are probably not so savvy with making investment decisions, especially in the equities market.
Yeah, so a lot of things. Like the equities market depends on your risk appetite. That's what will determine whether you come to the equities market or you go to the fixed income. Don't forget that before now, because of the high rates in the fixed income space, you see a lot of investors moving towards that space. But as these results are coming out, investors are taking strategic position in that space with the hope that some of this profit that they are declaring is going to repeat itself in Q1 and Q2. And of course, depending on the sector that investors are seeing that are likely to do well, that will also drive the direction of movement of investors.
All right, thank you. At least you said something. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Patrick Ejumedia. It's a pleasure having you.
Good to see you as well.